So for this project, I'm going to be taking this mark here and this mark here and starting from right down here and compare it to how many times it goes somewhere up to here. One, two. So I like to simplify the beginning, and we can add on to these extra parts later on this project. So that means right now, it means whatever width I have on my sheet of paper to my side, as long as my height is double that, I can start figuring out these other parts. But first I'm just gonna go and clean up this part right here. I'm making sure that my ruler is perpendicular. Notice how when I slipped, how much off it went. Same thing right there. And same thing at this point right here. Same thing right here. So let's just make sure that my box is still the same that I started with. So I take this width and it goes into it. 1, 2. So on my sheet of paper, I prefer tracing paper if you're working, you can make whatever width you want, say right there. And as long as I take that width and double it, I can fit in this rectangle, and then I can start carving into these pieces. So same thing as I did on my source, I'm gonna do here. Notice how when I take my ruler, I'm lining it up with the corner. One, two. Let's double check it. Good. Same thing as I did. Make sure you're making nice clean lines. So here we go. The width goes into the height twice. So now we have the rectangle, but we need to get these other parts down. So an easy way I like to do is find the middle point. So I'm just going to guesstimate that that's my middle. Goes over. Let's try right here. There we go. We have our middle. Same thing above. Now I have my middle point. So the same thing I did this, I want to do on the side. So I'm going to guess that this right here is my middle. Middle low. I'm going to guess that that is my middle. Still low. Let's try this right here. Too high. It's just trial by error. A little bit less. There we go, we're good. And that's the same thing you'll do on here. So that's the middle. So a little bit off. That line's not straight, but it's close enough. Same thing right here. I guess if this is my middle. Slightly off. We're good. So there we go. These are the first two steps that you're going to be doing when it comes to this master study. After that, I can go in here, connect this corner to that corner, same thing as the other side. And all I'm doing is trying to make it easier. So when I start sketching in this part of the hand, I know generally where it should fit in. For example, this right here, it touches in the middle. I see how far it is from the side. I can guesstimate what that space is right here. Up here, we can worry about that later. We can worry about this later. The main focus of this drawing is this middle piece, the actual fingers. So let's do the same thing right here. Okay, there we go. So now, as I'm looking at here, I can figure this out. So briefly, I'm just going to talk about these shadow shapes and how I try to think about it before I start sketching in a little bit of this. So when it comes to these shadow shapes, simplify them. It'll make your life a lot easier. If you go in, maybe with a piece of tracing paper, or even with your pencil, simplify these shapes. Just like that. And that's what I'd encourage you is for this whole piece, go through, simplify every one of these shapes. I encourage my in-person students to do it on a piece of tracing paper. When I was a student, I did it on my actual source. It can kind of mess you up if you use this for your source as you render it out, but I would recommend just to print it off again, just so that you aren't seeing these lines. And also it's some nice muscle memory, just like when a teacher is saying something in class and you write it down. This is kind of the same process as I'm repeating the information I'm seeing, and then when I go in there, I can make the decisions of the way these shapes fit in. So try to do that for the whole thing. So I'm just going to sketch out a little bit of this. It's going to be a little bit difficult with the camera in the way. So right now I just have my page to the side. I'm just going in here, sketching in the way these shapes fit in. And of course, if I weren't drawing on a camera, I'd be spending a lot more time. But just for the sake of time, I'm trying to get this in really quickly. And what might actually be helpful is you just go in there sketch it really quickly, and then go back. Find what stuff is not working. So one thing I noticed is this shape right here is before the middle line, and right now I'm drawing it over. So that means I just need to erase it and fix it. And always look at the shapes. That's the great thing about going through and outlining this. Your source, they can see just the simple shapes. And as I'm going through here, I'm purely actually just thinking of silhouette. And I'm noticing the different errors. Just remember, if I were doing this for an actual grade, I'd be spending a lot more time. But I think you should get the general idea of how to go about this. Notice how I'm drawing with a lot of straight lines. Notice that space, I'm way too much space, but I just notice it just right now. So I'm just going to work out a little bit of the detail of this finger, just so that you can know what I want you to be doing. So as I'm going, I'm also designing, and I'm saying the word designing because I want you to actually think about the shapes. Think of the way that they move. I did a bad shape right there. Think of the way these shapes move. What's the angle? think of what's the angle as you're going through, and then just start plugging them in. It's not bad to sketch. That's really the way I'm going in here. But what's important is if I have drawn it inaccurately, I need to look at my reference, think of what angle is it. Maybe it's the position of a finger or this little geometric type of object. Well, I can just go in and measure, relate it to one thing to the other, just like we did with the width to the height. Okay, so that's generally how I would be sketching it out. Of course, you'd spend more time. Let me just talk briefly about how to find these bottom parts. Same method as before of finding right in here. Really all you're gonna do, go from this measurement to here and see where it fits in, okay? So it's that knuckle piece right there. It's a little bit over the halfway. Let me just make sure again. So now all I need to do, since I know my rectangle is correct, go from here to here. And now I know that's how far it goes. But I don't know how far out it goes this way. So, same as before, check from here to here, and then just see where it fits. So look at that, it's basically halfway. So now all I have to do right here, do that. And just like that, I found out that this piece right here goes that much farther out. And you can start going through and start shaping that part. Of course, a good bit of this is, there's some errors with that drawing right there. The same thing as before with the top piece. Measure from here to here. See where it fits. Oh wow, look at that, that's a great one. It goes a little bit over halfway. That means I'm here. Needs to do something like that to go that above. So try to finish up your drawing as quick as possible. It depends on your speed and how long you've done this type of method. But starting on Monday, I'm going to start talking about how to render this on Bristol board. So remember, the key is take the width from here to here. You can use the same measurements I did as long as you're doing them accurately. So go from this part to here. See how many times it goes from here all the way up. I just went into twice because I knew it was easy. And on my sheet of paper, I can make whatever width as long as it goes into twice into the height. From there, find the middle points from both sides, just like I did here. Do the X's, same thing right there. And then just start sketching it out. Whenever something looks off, that's when you need to go back and actually measure from here to here. But for right now, all I'm doing is I'm just trying to guesstimate. Now maybe it's a little bit difficult to guesstimate. Then find what's half of half, find the quarter. Do the same thing, find the quarter right here, and then now you're going to be a little bit closer when it's your measurements.